Hello and welcome to the Ecocast by Actual Tech Media. On today's event, you'll learn how to power up your databases, surveying the tools that take data, analytics, integration, AI, ML, and intelligence to the next level. Thank you so much for joining us. On this event, you'll hear from our experts at Micro Focus, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, Rubric, Click, and DataStax. Before we get started, there's just a few things that you should know about the event. My name is David Davis of Actual Tech Media, and I'll be serving as the moderator along with fellow moderator, Mr. Scott Becker. On this Ecocast, of course, we've got some awesome prizes. I'll be talking about those here in just a moment. We, of course, always encourage your questions on our Actual Tech Media events. We're all former IT professionals ourselves here at Actual Tech Media. We know how tough it can be out there in the world of IT, and we want to help you to solve your challenges with some innovative solutions on today's Ecocast. So we encourage your questions there in the questions pane of your audience console, and we even have a best question prize to help perhaps shake some of those questions loose. We'll also have some poll questions for you during the event. We want this to be a social event as well. You can tweet directly from your audience console, and the hashtag for today's Ecocast will be automatically appended. And then finally, we've got some great resources there for download or special trial links, ebooks, things like that in the handouts tab of your audience console. I encourage you to check those out. The prizes on the Ecocast today are 3 Amazon $500 gift cards. Of course, you must be live in attendance to qualify for the prize drawings and meet the Actual Tech Media Prize terms and conditions that you can find there in the handouts tab. As I mentioned, we also have our best question prize. This is for 4 additional Amazon $50 gift cards, one for each of our 4 Q&A sessions on the Ecocast today. Of course, you have to ask a question to be entered into the prize drawing. Prize winners will be selected and contacted after the event. All prize winners must meet the Actual Tech Media Prize terms and conditions there in the handouts tab. And of course, all prize winners have the option to make a donation to the selected charities you see here on the screen. Over the years, we've donated thousands of dollars to charities, and we would love to help you do that. We've done that in partnership with the Gorilla Guide Book Club. As I mentioned, we want this to be a social event. You can tweet directly from your audience console using the Twitter icon, and the hashtag for today, ATM Ecocast, will be automatically appended. Of course, you can follow Actual Tech Media and me, your moderator, David M. Davis, on Twitter as well. Subscribe to all the Actual Tech Media social channels on Facebook, YouTube, and our 10 on Tech podcast. You'll find a link to our YouTube page there on your audience console. That's where we post recordings of all of our events. We encourage you to follow us there. And of course, if you use LinkedIn, which most IT professionals do, we encourage you to follow Actual Tech Media on LinkedIn as well. You can do that there in your audience console. You'll find a link to the Gorilla Guide Book Club in the Handouts tab. That's where you can download free, easy-to-read enterprise IT books authored by top industry experts. It's a great way to stay up to date on enterprise IT topics. And we also encourage you to refer your IT friends and coworkers to Actual Tech Media's online events, and you both could win an Amazon $300 gift card. Those drawings are held monthly. You can find a link to that there in the Handouts tab, and you'll be automatically redirected to the Refer a Friend page at the end of the event. And with that, it's now my pleasure to introduce keynote presenter, Mr. Scott Becker, fellow moderator at Actual Tech Media, and IT industry veteran. Scott's here to talk about what you need to know concerning powering up your databases. Scott, take it away.
Thanks, David. I'm excited about today's event on powering up your databases, where we'll survey the tools that take data, analytics, integration, AI, ML, and intelligence to the next level. I wanted to take just a few minutes to frame up what we'll be hearing about from today's expert speakers. No matter how much changes when it comes to applications, the internet, user preferences, or underlying platforms, there's one constant. It's the software that sifts, sorts, tallies, groups, and stores the data, and that's the database. But as we all know, the database itself can't stand still either. My first job in technology journalism involved covering data management tools back in 1998, and some things like the fundamental challenges of data analytics tools remain constant. We can think of them as evergreen issues. Those include making data intelligible to non-technical business users, getting data out of silos, and working with real-time data. Some challenges and opportunities, though, didn't really exist at the turn of the millennium, such as cloud scale, the volumes of edge data, and the emergence of artificial intelligence. Today, we're going to talk about some of the tools that are constantly evolving to help database administrators deal with more data from a broader set of sources, all while they power ever faster applications or reach more impactful conclusions. Tools are also evolving to help analysts take all that data and reach better conclusions faster, either through enabling human insight or augmenting those insights with hints garnered through artificial intelligence or machine learning. During this Ecocast, we're going to hear from experts working at companies that are providing powerful database-related tools that can supercharge your operations. They'll be talking about fantastic tools for data analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and backup and recovery of databases. Here are a few of the major current challenges that you'll be hearing about from our expert presenters today. First up are data silos. This has been around as an issue since the first day someone built a second database and realized it would be really great if they could look at both data sets together. The data silo issue gets more complicated every decade. Now the wrinkles involve data in SaaS systems, data in mission-critical legacy applications and systems, and data in multiple public clouds. We'll hear about that today. Another oldie but goodie is real-time data. This has been an issue since the first decision support software applications emerged decades ago. The issue then, as now, was that looking at historical data is great, but wouldn't it be fantastic if we could analyze and make decisions based on up-to-the-second information from live applications? This is a top-of-mind issue for some of the tool providers in this session, and we'll hear about that. Moving on to contemporary issues, we'll be hearing about the proliferation of data in the cloud and at the edge and what that means, especially for business intelligence applications. The volumes of data and the sprawl of data have become enormous, and the physics of the universe gets in the way of simply importing all the data quickly into another system for analysis. So we'll get at some of the latest insights about how to most efficiently move data from their far-flung locations and at scale to a place where the data can be effectively analyzed and used for business insights. Artificial intelligence and machine learning are enormously exciting with a ton of potential, yet it's a challenge to know where to start with both AI and ML. And successfully deploying it can require data scientists who are hard to recruit. We'll see some of the ways AI and ML are being built into tools so that you can reap the benefits even if you aren't investing in building your own IP around AI or ML from scratch. Finally, backup and recovery. This is another issue that's as old as data itself, predating even computing. I'm thinking of the fire that was set by Caesar's soldiers in 48 BC that was believed to have destroyed at least, part of, a collection of scrolls at the Library of Alexandria. Whether it's scrolls, books, or bits and bytes, if you don't have a backup, it's gone. Even for modern databases, backup and recovery has to evolve with technological developments. Some of the latest advances involve the emerging requirements of NoSQL databases. Those databases have a fundamentally different architecture from previous database technologies. They also need different methods for backups, so we'll hear about that. Looked at another way, what we'll hear about today covers evergreen or long-standing issues like data silos, real-time data, and backing up databases. We'll hear about current challenges like cloud migration and edge migrations. And we'll get insights on next generation issues like artificial intelligence and machine learning. David, I'm really looking forward to these sessions. I think we're all going to learn a lot.
All right. Thank you so much, Scott. A great presentation or intro there. We do appreciate that. A great way to set us up for today's presentations. I've just brought up our first poll question here of the event on the screen. The question is, what are your top concerns when it comes to data and data management tools? We want to get your feedback on this. I will share the results of this poll, and you can see how you stack up with your peers on the event today. If you haven't answered one of these polls before, you just do it right there in the slides window. And note that this is a multi-select question, so feel free to select more than one option if it applies to you. Maybe you're having challenges when it comes to getting data out of silos. Perhaps integrating real-time data is a challenge, backing up your databases, migrating from cloud to data tools, or migrating from the edge to data tools, implementing artificial intelligence, machine learning, or if there's something else that's not on the list there and you're challenged by it, we want to hear from you. I will share your response with everyone here on the event, and perhaps we can improve this poll in the future. And I do see a comment here from Alex out in the audience who said that they have concerns or challenges around removing and reducing data, looking for some tools. So great feedback that is a challenge for you. We can use that to improve the poll in the future. And let's see, Vijay is saying that he's interested in data and data security. That security is one of the major issues that they are concerned about. Michael is talking about ROI for implementing AI and ML. How soon can the return be expected? Chris said protecting data in transit. So lots of good feedback. Thank you so much for those comments. Let me share the results of this poll with you. And it looks like the top responses here, 43% said getting data out of silos, 45% integrating real-time data, and 40% backing up modern databases. Thank you to everyone who responded there to the poll. And then last poll question here before I introduce you to our first presenters today on the Ecocast. And the question is, what's your time frame for adding new or updating existing tools around your databases specifically? Is it within the next 6 months? You want to take some sort of action to add new tools or replace existing tools? 6 to 12 months, 12 to 24 months, or you're not quite sure yet? So I'll give everyone a moment here to respond to that poll. Our first speakers are ready to go, and we appreciate those responses that have come in so far. Thank you so much. Let's just get a few more. All right. Thank you, everyone, for your feedback on the poll.
It's now my pleasure to introduce you to our next presenters on today's Ecocast. Welcome to Balaji, who is a worldwide service leader for AI and data at Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, and Steve Sarsfield, who is a director of product marketing at Micro Focus. Balaji and Steve, it's great to have you on. Take it away.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us. Balaji, are you set? Are you all ready to go?
Yes, Steve, thank you. And firstly, good morning, good afternoon, everybody, wherever you are. Hopefully everybody is safe. Take care of you and your family, and that's pretty key and important right now. Equally important from a business angle, if you may want to see. Thank you very much. All right. So between HPE and Vertica, we want to tell you over the next 15-20 minutes about how it's possible and easy for you to modernize the analytics as long as you take a data-first approach. I'm Balaji, and along with me is Steve, and we will take you through this journey. Now, moving on to the next slide.
All right, I think I figured it out, Balaji.
All right,
good. Yep.
Thank you. Moving on to the next slide. A lot of customers like you have been thinking or doing digital transformation. And the first wave it started was around infrastructure. Everybody said that, look, I have got a multi-gen, I've got legacy systems, and I've got processes which are pretty old. I want to move towards digital. And it was a cloud-first mandate, cloud. That was successful for some, but not predominantly for others. And when the analysts as well as the industry experts started analyzing it, they found out that those who went with this were not able to get it. And one of the reasons for that, when they didn't get it, was that they were not focused on the key element, the oil, the currency, something that exists everywhere. That's the data. So there is a realization now that if you want your digital transformation to succeed, you need to have a data-centric modernization. You need to be pretty sure about handling the challenges with data. Just some time back, we had a poll where you all came in and talked about what sort of challenges exist in data. So that's the reason why we are moving towards a data-first modernization. Moving on to the next slide. And why do we say that you need this? You need this because, as you mentioned in the polls too, data is everywhere. We call it as oil from a currency point of view, but because of its fluidity, it's everywhere. It's at the data center, it's in the colo, it's trapped in the legacy systems, it's up there in the cloud, and it's there in the edge, and the edge data is going up like multifold. With all these things, migration, which is again highlighted as one of the key things. So getting to know what data exists and where do you consolidate it, how do you get it together, all that has been a problem. And that's why we say that if you want to succeed much better in your digital transformation, you need to go with a data-first modernization. And companies that have focused on this, we have seen, have benefited a lot more than those who thought that it's okay, I'm fine, I can manage it. So here we are going to tell you how Vertica is going to play a role in that, and let me hand it over to Steve to walk you through that.
Yeah, thanks very much, Balaji. So just drilling down on those data transformation points, and I think what we're seeing in the market is really some interesting major initiatives that are going on within almost every industry, right? People are looking for analytics modernization, so they're thinking about how can I handle more data, how can I expand the types of analysis that I'm using now, how can I do machine learning, how can I expand that whole analytics set so that I can get more powerful analytics out of it. They're thinking about cloud migration. How can I take data and move it to the cloud so I can simplify maintenance? Although some companies have a hybrid approach, right, where some of the analysis is happening on premises and some of it's happening in the cloud. And so you want to be able to support that as well. And there's data democratization. I think some of the polls really identify a lot of these initiatives, right? Data democratization is this whole idea where I want to have more people in my company have more access to analytics, no matter where it sits in the organization. And that takes a special kind of solution to provide that, a solution that will give you concurrency. We have one client, for example, that does 40,000 queries a day, and they have about 3 petabytes of data, right? So that's the ultimate data democratization story, where they're really able to scale up and handle those kind of workloads. And then data fabric. I want access to data that's in an organization, and sometimes it's sitting there, it's siloed. You don't have access. You don't know how valuable it is. So I want to be able to go out and reach out and get that. And we think Vertica provides functions and features that allow you to do a lot of these major initiatives within an organization. So what is Vertica? This is my super simplified version for short presentations, right? It is a database and a query engine and a machine learning engine. So it allows you to access data if you have data that's coming in and streaming in Kafka or Kinesis or one of those tools. You can stream it into Vertica, you can copy data in, and you can access external data, whether it's sitting in Parquet files or org files. All of that data can be analyzed with Vertica, and you can perform really advanced analytics on it, like sub-second queries, massive amounts of data, whether you're using SQL or Python or machine learning or R. All of those languages are supported within Vertica. You can do geospatial and time series and all the analysis that you want to do. We've recently added machine learning as well, so you can actually implement and operationalize machine learning within Vertica. So if you want to do a linear or regression or something like that, that's very easy to do within Vertica. And then you can visualize all of that. So whether you're using SQL, a green screen, or whether you're using notebooks, you can visualize and query the data. Now, I know we have some other partners here that are part of this talk. For example, you can visualize in Qlik. Qlik is here with us. If you want to use Vertica as the back end and Qlik as the front end, that's very easy for you to do. Sometimes people want to store a lot of their data in Object Store and then back it up with something like a Rubric, right? So Rubric is also available here and can be used along with Vertica. So we are very ecosystem friendly and allow you to perform analytics at great speed. I'll say that one of the best case studies that we have that kind of exemplifies this is the Guess case study. You may know Guess from, they have, back in the 80s they had their Guess jeans. They are pretty popular now with retail stores throughout the world. What they were trying to do when they came to us is they were trying to take data, sales data from the store, bring it all back into a data warehouse. And so that's an analytics monetization part of it. And then they wanted to take that data and then democratize it. So every individual who works in a Guess store in the 1,500 or so locations that they have should have access to analytics. They created a really nice MicroStrategies front end, and they use Vertica as the back end to provide analytics. So the Guess people in the stores, the workers can see what items sold best yesterday, and whether an item is available in a store that's close to them, and they can really help their customers and really understand how the customers are buying their products. So a really great story, I think really exemplifies both analytics monetization and data democratization, the initiatives that are happening within the company. I'll say just with Vertica and HPE in general, we are part of the HPE Complete program. So we do have end-to-end solutions, that are installable by the HPE Complete folks. For a long time, we have been a long-standing partnership on the Apollo and ProLine servers. So if you want to use bare metal and install Vertica on bare metal, you can do that. But we have other deployment methods as well. You can deploy on cloud and on premise, on object store, and so on. So all of that is available to you. GreenLake, we are definitely plugged into the GreenLake program within HPE. And we're plugged in also to HPE Ezmeral, which is the old MapR stuff. We have a containerized version of Vertica that we're looking at now. We're trying to test compatibility on that. So that might be something that you see in a future announcement from Vertica and HPE as they combine. Finally, I'll just mention the Scality Partnership. So we do have a partnership with Scality as well. And if you want to have a cloud-like experience with Vertica but have data on-premise, Scality is a great partnership to implement that. Example, I can take data, I can store it, use my main repository on a Scality server set on Object Store. I can use Vertica to analyze that data and then provide analytics on top of that. So we plug into both cloud-based Object Store and on-premise Object Store, and we can really have some great efficiencies, on top of that. Over to you.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Steve. In a very short time, Steve has walked you through in terms of establishing that Vertica with a powerful database engine, and it's the right tool for doing your querying, your analytics, or your machine language initiated stuff. And at the end of the day, as customers, if you want to do analytics modernization or if you want to do data democratization, it's one of the best tools out there. And we've combined with HPE, we are better together, and we get all these things out, whether it's part of HPE Complete or as a service via GreenLake and all these things. Now, there are always situations where on top of all these excellent things that you're getting, there are things that you want. There are services that you need. So that's where from HPE services, we will be able to give you a data-first modernization services. We can come back and help you with automatically generating metadata to drive your discovery and collaboration of the data. And that's called as the data space. In addition to this, we also have an intelligent data pipeline, which will be able to give you a robust data architecture for your entire landscape. The key thing is that when we come in, we do it with an advisory led, and we of course provide everything as a service too. And when we say advisory led, we go through a process of understanding your requirements and then take you through. And you heard about Guess. We have also done it in multiple places across the world. We have done it for a major bank in Korea, where we were able to give them a single point of truth version by consolidating all the data that's spread across everywhere in their organization. So come to us and we will be able to assist you. Let me just move on to the last slide. You have seen, why don't you go through this, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, this is just a way to follow up a little bit more information, right? If you want to understand what the whole thing about Vertica and Micro Focus and HPE is all about, we've prepared, a web page for you, and you can click on the link here. And I don't know if these are clickable links or not, honestly, but it looks like they are. So that's great. You can click on the link and find out more information about how that partnership works. For Vertica, you can download and try Vertica if you'd like. So we have a SaaS version. We have a downloadable, installable version of Vertica. We have containerized versions available. So if you want to download and try Vertica for up to 1 terabyte for as long as you want, you can do that and use our website. Just go to vertica.com and you can see all the options for trial. All right, that's all I have. I guess we go now to the polling or the questions, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing up the poll there. I want to call everyone's attention to the poll on the screen that says, what additional information would you like about the Micro Focus HPE Vertica solution? We want to get your feedback here on the poll. We'll leave this up while we take your questions. And so let's see, lots of great questions coming in. Balaji, Steve, first one I see here for you is when you talked about how you integrate with other solutions, many of which are on the event today. Maybe you can provide a little bit more detail here. They're asking about APIs and other integration, methods. How does that commonly work?
Yeah, we spend a lot of time, working on our APIs and our integrations, right, with, the open source community and with visualization tools and with the ETL tools, right? So we have built-in specialized connectors for data. If you want to get data into Vertica via ETL, Talend or Informatica, those are all sort of out of the box that you can download via our site, or they're part of the installable. For visualization tools, generally they go through ODBC or JDBC connectors, and so we would connect into that. And again, with Click, you can use Click as your front end, and then it would access Vertica as the back end. The whole integration area is a really big area. So again, with Scality, I think the key thing there is that we've implemented a mode called Eon Mode, and Eon Mode allows you to use Scality as the main repository of the database. So imagine that I can have this highly scalable platform to scale up and down and store as much data as I want, and then use all the backup utilities, right, that Rubric might provide, for example, to back up that object store. So again, it's a really big area, really big question, but at least in terms of the partners that are here, we do provide some really good integration between them.
Are there any more questions?
Anything else?
I'm sorry, yeah. Lots more good questions coming in here. There's a couple of them about security. When the data is brought in, what do y'all do to protect that data?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, the data is naturally encrypted when it comes in. We do have a add-on for Vertica called Secure Data. So that data is super encrypted and super secure, both as the data is sitting in Vertica in storage and as it is transmitted in motion, right? So it's encrypted in both places. So there's that add-on that you can provide that's part of the Vertica platform that makes everything super secure and super encrypted. In terms of access, ACL and stuff, we have a bunch of ways to access the data via Kerberos or LDAP, and there's a bunch of features that you can use and implement that really make the data secure for access to. And that's really fine-grained control that's available in the database itself. So yeah, we have quite a few features around that. If I miss something, a certain area, please, I'd be happy to answer on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Let's see, here's a good question. Bob is asking, since Vertica is a Columnar database, does it accept standard SQL queries to access the data that's stored within?
Yeah, that's a great question, Bob. Yeah, it does accept standard SQL queries, so your selects and your insert, update, deletes, that's all part of it. It's very easy. to make a transformation from an Oracle database, say, or a Teradata database into Vertica database. There's really nothing different about it. Beyond that, I think one of the things that we've done over the years, we've been around for quite some time, we've actually added more analytical functions than a lot of databases have on the market. So, if you count the number of analytical functions that we have versus, some of the newer databases that are on the market, we actually might have double of those functions. And those include things like, time series and built-in machine learning and, geospatial features that you add, right? So, yeah, you can use standard SQL, and it's really robust in terms of the amount of SQL that it does have.
Nice. Let's see, another good question here that came in. They're wanting to know how do we protect the data that's stored in Vertica? Would we use an external data protection tool, like something we might be learning about on the event today, maybe after this?
Yeah, I think we will. Yes. So as you get to Rubric, right, you certainly can learn about data protection. And, we have our own internal backup functions and our own ways of making hot copies of the data as data comes into the database. So you can essentially, if you wanted to keep a copy of your data up to date and current in real time. So there are strategies that we have, and we outline those in our manual for data protection.
Excellent. And then what about, there's a question here about support. And I'll also throw in, kind of implementation. What sort of services do you all offer in regards to, implementing this if someone doesn't have the staff, available to do it, and then once it's implemented, supporting it after?
Well, I'll mention that we do have a SaaS product, so it's pretty easy to implement our SaaS product now. It's called Vertica Accelerator. I know, Balaji, I'm sure you have a great answer for that.
Yeah, there are a lot of services that we provide, and there are two basic kinds of it. One is where a customer has got a pain point, which is pretty clear, like Steve was addressing things around how do I ingest data from one source or the other. Those are specific ones, and it's easy, and we have been there, done that. And then there are times where a customer comes up and says that I just don't want a normal vanilla install with this and get all this data in, but I want to do much beyond it. I want to get some business outcomes. I want to do a lot more analytics and other things. Then based upon your need, there is simple, complex ways of addressing it. And there are certain standard, what would I call it, as a SKU, like fixed scope, fixed deliverables that we have, where we have encountered similar problem in other places and entered and done it. Or there could be a custom-based, SAO-based, or statement of work-based solution addressing your specific challenge and getting you to that. So things which I said around data architecture, putting together data spaces, those are all classic examples of our SOW services.
Excellent. I like that. Let's see, Brandon's asking about restricted data. It sounds like, they have data that has FedRAMP requirements or PII, personally identifiable information. Could Vertica help with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in making sure that we have security, there are all sorts of strategies that you can implement. Like I know, for example, the people are still worried about putting data in the cloud and implementing a data warehouse in the cloud. So one of the things that we work really hard at is we make sure that data can be, it's sort of seamless, whether it's in the cloud or on-premise or in local object store in your own facility or cloud storage that's sitting in on Amazon, right? All of that is fairly seamless. It sort of doesn't matter where the data is sitting to us in order to provide analytics. It may matter, though, for security's sake, right? So that's one of the many things that we do in order to make sure that we can support that.
Excellent. And then Armand is asking about agility. Say we need to spin up a new database today, or our database is going to scale massively, this week. What about agility when it comes to Vertica?
Yeah, absolutely. We do have, especially in our new SaaS model, we have a auto scaling feature that allows you to kind of look at the number of concurrent queries that are running and will automatically scale that data up and down if you need to. One of the features that we do have, we have this feature called Eon Mode. And Eon Mode lets you take and create a central repository of data. Usually that's on Object Store. And then you can spin up individual subclusters who can all access that. So think about, you have marketing that's accessing data, you have accounting that's accessing data, you may have a lot of data loads that are going on all at the same time, right? So all of those, in a normal scenario, all of those kind of data loads or query loads will be impacting each other, right? But with Eon Mode, since that stuff is stored in Object Store, we're actually able to isolate those workloads, and so marketing's workload won't impact accounting's workload, won't impact data loading. All of those can kind of run independently without impacting each other. So that is a really important feature of Vertica, and we think it's pretty powerful.
Absolutely. And let's see, maybe you might have covered this one already, but it might be good to review it. They're asking, I'm not sure how Scality and Vertica work together. Can you clarify that a little bit more, Steve?
Yeah, so for the Eon Mode that I just mentioned, Scality provides the main repository data for Vertica. So whether you're using Scality or NetApp, or whether you're using Dell ECS or Pure, all of those on-premise object stores can provide the data repository for Vertica. And so, data is essentially stored in local object store, just as easily as it can be stored in a cloud-based object store, and then you can access data and perform those analytical workloads. Again, if you want to set up those subclusters, all based on that same central repository of data that Scality offers, you can do that as well. So, we've kind of moved away from the traditional, installing Vertica on bare metal and, having Vertica manage all of the storage of data, to a new Eon Mode, which allows the object store partners, our object store partners like Scality, to manage that. And it makes for a super scalable platform that allows you to isolate workloads and so on.
Got it. Okay. And then Balaji, I think this is a good question for you. They're asking, if we were to bring in HPE, how does that start, and what do the first engagements typically look like?
Good question. And pardon me, but I'm going to start with the consulting answer of saying it depends. The reason I'm saying it is because there are some times that people would come in and tell us that I have a specific problem, and then it's a point solution that applies to it. And there are chances that a customer would like to start and get onto this journey, and they know that they want to get there, but they're not sure where to go and how to go. So in that case, they're looking for a partner who can walk the digital transformation journey with them. And we do start with a light discovery session where we understand what is it that you want, where do you want to go, and what, from our point of view, in given your particular industry, what are the people like you doing, and what are the simple steps that you need to take to move from your current to your destination. And we identify what would be the quick wins along for you in this path, and what would be the long-term objectives. With, what are the challenges and what is the training needed, and how do we help you in the entire journey to take you there. So during this process, we actually call this as a triple E process. It's like explore, experiment, and evolve. In an explore, you're just kind of finding out, getting your feet wet in the water to see how do I move and what should I do. In an experiment phase, we do what's called as a POV, which is a proof of value. It's not a proof of concept, because we know Vertica works, we know data democratization works, and we also know that analytics modernization works. It is, how does it work in your setup? How does it get you the results for you in your organization? That's why we are calling it as, what value does it give? That's the proof of value. And after that, it's a matter of scaling. And when we start talking about scaling, Scaling could be, as Steve covered, about Vertica alone scaling to address more and more data, or the functionality scaling, or the business objectives moving away from one department to another department, or the objective itself being made more complex, etc. So I know it's a lengthy answer, which is why I started off saying that it depends, because it's not a one-size-that-fits-all solution.
Absolutely. Yeah, good points. And here's a comment from Nitish, I think is how you say it. They say that they are looking forward to going through the trial because they have a use case in their environment for Vertica. Can one of you elaborate maybe on if folks start off with the trial, kind of what happens from there? How does that work exactly?
Yeah, if they go to our website and start a trial, I guess I'll go with Balaji's answer. It depends too, right? But you can very easily, if you got a pretty big tech team and you ever used a database before, you can go and download Vertica and install it on your own little cluster, and up and away you're going. If you want a little more help, I would recommend the SaaS model. So you can go to Vertica Accelerator, sign up there, and what we'll do is we'll kind of handhold you and walk you through how to get the best value out of Vertica. We'll spin up Vertica in your Amazon cluster. We'll and handhold you on how to load data and so on. So we take you through the whole process. I think either way, we have some sales engineers that are available for you when you need to have help. Pretty good online documentation as well, so you can check out our documentation on that. But for the most part, if you need help with that, we're here for you.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'm afraid we've run out of time here in our live Q&A session. I see 32 more questions there for you in the electronic queue. Maybe you can get back to some of those folks.
Yeah.
But really great Absolutely. Yeah. Really great presentation. Thank you so much, Balaji and Steve. Thanks for being on.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity, and thank you all. Have a good day.
And thank you to everyone who responded there to the poll question. I also want to call your attention there to the handouts tab. The link to the Micro Focus HPE Vertica landing page is right there at the top. And there are a number of great resources out there, including the Guerrilla Guide to Modernizing Data Analytics, which is a free Guerrilla Guide created by Actual Tech Media. We encourage you to download that. There's the Vertica Quick Specs, the value of actionable decision support at scale from IDC, as well as a link to the free trial of Vertica. So make sure that you check out those resources. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Mr. Scott Becker from Actual Tech Media to announce our first gift card winner.
Thanks, David. Yeah, really interesting session with Micro Focus and HPE there. Lots more great stuff coming up. And as David mentioned, now it is time for our first prize drawing. And the winner of the first of our 3 $500 Amazon gift cards is Allie Boyks from Wisconsin. So congratulations to Allie. We'll be in touch about claiming your prize. And now it's time for our next presentation in the Power Up Your Database Ecocast. Our next session comes from Rubric. And presenting for Rubric are Senior Product Marketing Manager Justin Rees and Senior Product Manager Vipul Gupta. So now I'll turn things over to Justin to get us started.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. Really great to be here. So as mentioned, my name is Justin Rees, and I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager here at Rubric. And I'm joined today by my colleague, Vipul, who's one of our Senior Product Managers who actually looks after some of our database solutions. And so we're both very excited to be here with all of you to take a little bit of time to talk about why native replication is not a replacement for backup and recovery of NoSQL databases. And so today, I will take you through some of the common challenges or pitfalls of protecting NoSQL databases with native protection. And we'll pull directly from our experiences, working with customers before quickly taking you through the Rubric kind of approach. From there, I'll hand it over to Vipul for the fun part, and that is a live demonstration where he will walk through a few key use cases that I think you'll really find helpful. And lastly, as we close things out, I will highlight a few resources to help you get started, as well as some maybe potential next steps and even cover a few of the most commonly asked questions we run into as it relates to Rubric NoSQL protection. So a lot of ground to cover, so let's jump in. So first and foremost, I think it's more than safe to say that NoSQL databases have gone mainstream, and they're really here to stay. And more organizations are adopting modern NoSQL databases like MongoDB and/or Cassandra and DataStax, really to enable the rapid development of their next generation applications without incurring the costs associated with the typical relational databases. And so whether those applications are related to customer experience applications, the IoT, AI or machine learning, or even e-commerce, the market has seen growing traction since the late 2000s, and I think everyone expects to see that growth to continue. And that's for a good reason. NoSQL database is compact with a number of unique capabilities, including things like native database replication, developer-friendly usability, built-in sharding for high volume and large-scale data sets, all of which really allow NoSQL databases to support high availability, flexible data models, even support some big data capabilities, and not to mention were built during the era of the cloud. However, while these databases can help speed up application development, they do lack general backup and recovery solutions today that enterprises need to wrangle their growing database environments, really putting them at risk of potential data loss. And so while NoSQL databases offer capabilities such as cross data center database replication, they do not provide point-in-time backup and recovery, which means if data errors are introduced or data is accidentally deleted, the database's redundant node replication can lead to almost an immediate corruption of critical data across all the nodes. And so let's go a little bit deeper here and run through some of the other common pitfalls that we see. And to kick things off, first, NoSQL backup management solutions often rely on a legacy media server architecture to process and manage backup and restore operations. And these legacy architectures really centralize the control of the backup processes and move or store the backed up data through a single server, resulting in siloed performance and scalability. But also, while using these native tools, can definitely be convenient, they can unfortunately become a bottleneck when you look to scale your backup performance. And really, your only option is to add more media servers, which really only exacerbates the problem and ultimately hurts the bottom line. So instead, what enterprises need is the ability to support parallel data streaming without a media server. And this will remove the bottleneck created by a media server-based architecture and really will enable them to easily scale up to meet the performance demands while still being able to easily tie into those NoSQL databases. But next, it's really important, to point out that a manual database dump leveraging homegrown scripting should really not be a part of an enterprise backup strategy. It just doesn't scale well and can be problematic when backing up sharded clusters and replica sets, but not to mention is prone to human error. And additionally, the granularity of data that can be protected is really restricted here. And so what this means is that today's organizations really need the ability to stream data in parallel to a secondary, backup storage by using lightweight application listeners deployed on each node. And that way, there's no need to quiesce the database, really delivering consistency for your organization's sharded and unsharded database configurations. Now, the next challenge, that we're seeing here is related to incremental backups. And so to create point-in-time backups, most native NoSQL backup management solutions require a full copy of every protected database be updated with a stream of op logs, in addition really to point-in-time snapshots. And this complex workflow really makes the backup process slow and really necessitates a costly upfront investment in the infrastructure. And so we want to look for in a solution is an incremental forever approach that will significantly reduce your RPOs and RTOs. It is important to note, that the ideal solution deliver incremental backups in native NoSQL formats. And this next challenge, I think personally, is pretty interesting. NoSQL databases definitely enable developers to move as fast as any startup without incurring, those additional costs associated with typical relational databases. However, as it relates to backup and recovery, NoSQL databases can increase your backup storage costs if you aren't careful. And the reason for that is that, native backup solutions use their own block-based deduplication of full backup snapshots when block storage is being utilized. And while the upside of this approach is, some storage efficiency, block-based deduplication significantly slows down the backup and recovery process as the number of blocks increases. Now, one way organizations are dealing with this is by increasing the block size. However, if the block size is too large, the storage efficiency can be compromised and really ultimately resulting in higher storage costs. So unlike block level deduplication, what you really want is a solution that implements semantic deduplication, which allows the reduction of multiple replicas into a single kind of golden copy. And lastly, one other thing to keep an eye on is data mobility. And reason being, delivering data mobility to refresh or push data into test dev often requires restoring data to a cluster with a different topology and from the source cluster. Unfortunately, most of the time, native backup solutions must restore data to the original topology, and that can be shards or even replica sets, making it difficult to create smaller test dev clusters. And so ideally, your solution will provide multiple features that can help your organization quickly accelerate building test dev databases. And these features should include, topology-free restores and any-to-any recovery across sharded and unsharded clusters. But unfortunately, the challenges don't just stop there. In addition to the technical challenges presented, by NoSQL databases, we often see database teams struggle with a number of kind of what we call general database protection challenges as well. And first, database protection usually comes with a lot of manual scripting and job scheduling, which can be time-consuming and error-prone. But next, these database systems are hugely complex, and often so are the backup and recovery tools that are being used to keep them protected. And this can lead, to practically relying on a specialist who's familiar with these systems to do almost anything, greatly restricting the day-to-day kind of generalist from being able to jump in and help creating not only single points of failure, but adding unnecessary time. But also, there's often a lack of centralized management, kind of monitoring and reporting, which is a big problem as today's database teams are faced with more database types today than ever before across more places than ever before. And this has, led to an operational challenge for most as we're forced to juggle multiple point solutions that compound the challenge of juggling siloed tools and processes, really creating duplicated resources and even data ownership ambiguity. And so that's why at Rubric, when we think about database protection, there are a number of key features or requirements that we believe are an absolute must. First is the ability to really operate and manage your database protection from a single software solution, regardless of the engine type, or even where your databases are located, or even where you want to move your backup data to, whether that be on premises or in the cloud. And so I think we all know this, but the more point solutions you have, the more time and resources you need to manage them. Not to mention, you probably even need a few specialists on hand. And so a single platform that streamlines operations, but will also give you that crucial visibility you need to see across your entire database environment is a must. But the solution should also streamline operations through automation, including the automatic discovery and protection of new databases as they're created. And so today's organizations need an SLA-driven approach to protection that automates backup operations So that way, database teams not only get their time back to focus on driving additional value for the business, since they aren't left managing custom scripts or manually scheduling backup jobs, but to also help scale the number of databases that they can support. And most importantly, because the solution really removes the complexity and simplifies operations, they don't need to be a specialist. And so these capabilities are core to Rubric for databases. So much so, we've brought them to our Rubric NoSQL protection for Cassandra, DataStax, and MongoDB. And so similar to how really any other workload is protected by Rubric, your NoSQL databases can be automatically discovered and protected, streamlining operations to help you and your team get your time back and ensure your databases are always protected. All you have to do is deploy Rubric, and we will discover sources, databases, and even the tables as they're created. And you can assign an inherited SLA to automate the frequency and retention of your backups. SLA assignments are inherited from source to database to table, so you can have peace of mind knowing that your databases are protected and no longer require manual scheduling. But on top of that, our automated protection delivers data mobility and storage economy. And because data is always stored in its native format, Rubric offers multifaceted data mobility. What that means is you can recover all or just a subset of the data to dissimilar database topologies, from on-premises to the cloud, or even to different clouds. And when it comes to efficiency, we deliver semantic deduplication. And this means that Rubric is able to identify identical data fragments, such as a database entry, for example, so that only one copy of the data is stored. And this allows Rubric customers to reduce their multi-replica data sets and ultimately save them on storage. And so all in all, Rubric NoSQL protection is a great way to help streamline your operations, unify your protection across on-premises and the cloud, and really deliver the performance and efficiency you need to operate at scale. Okay, so I know we covered a lot of ground, touching on a lot of key capabilities. So let's shift gears here a little bit and turn it over to Vipul, who will show you, how these key capabilities translate into Rubric NoSQL protection in real time.
Thank you, Justin, for setting up the context so well. I think this is no exaggeration to say that as innovative as NoSQL databases are to solve the challenges for enterprises when it comes to storing volume and variety of data, they arose with it a similar innovative need to protect their NoSQL data, given the technical challenges around the distributed architecture they have. Now, with Rubric NoSQL, we are solving these biggest pain points of NoSQL databases with simplicity, so that the enterprises can be rest assured of their data protection and they can focus more on unlocking more value from this data. Let me share some visuals with you to give you a sense of how Rubric does it. As you can see, I have a Cassandra database that has just gone under protection with Rubric NoSQL. And as you can see, there are a lot of key spaces and column families that I can see on the screen now. Now, this is typically the state where you will begin with, right? Let's say there's a DBA Ryan. Ryan has just been given this task to start protecting the Cassandra database as well. Now, the first thing that someone will need to do is they need to create an automated SLA. So this is where the SLA domains tab will come into picture. You can click on this button, create SLA domain. You select which object you want to protect, in this case, a Cassandra database. And let's say you want to do it every 12 hours, and I want to retain it for, let's say, a month. Well, you can put in a name here. For easy remembrance, let's say I can put it so this is just a summary of what the SLA protection will look like. and you click on create to add this SLA to Rubric. Now it's asking you, well, you have your database objects, you have created a protection policy as per the business needs, but now you also need to start protecting your database, and that is where you need to go to manage protection. It will again take me back to that screen. Let's say I go inside this particular cluster and I select this particular column family. Now this column family is already assigned an SLA. Let's say if I want to start protecting it, it shows me the SLA that I just created. Now it asks me where do I want to write it to. So I can select S3 storage or NFS or Azure, or this is also a possibility to write to Google Cloud. So let's say if I select S3, I do next, and it will tell me, okay, now this particular object is going to be protected with this new SLA. With this, I can assign. Now, you also have one more, in the true spirit of automating protection, there is one sweet little thing with Rubric NoSQL does as well. Now, if you want to automate protection, you also want to be covered for protecting those objects that get generated on the fly. You do not want to assign protection for all those new objects manually, one by one. So what you can do is, when you are creating a protection, you can select monitor data changes, which means that with this frequency, there will be objects that will be checked for. If there's anything new that has been detected by Rubric, those objects will immediately inherit the SLA that has been set to the parent object. Now, let's say in your day-to-day operations, you have started you have created an SLA, you have started protecting your objects. Now the next thing that you might feel a need, okay, there is a case for restore. What do you do? Let's say if I have this particular column family with me, I can see there are a lot many snapshots or backups available with me. So let's say if I select any one of them to restore from, it will ask me what destination do I want to restore to. Rubric does provide you the ability to restore to any other Cassandra cluster, even though it is not having the same topology. Let me choose existing key space. We configure some parameters. Now this operation is going to asynchronously take place in the background. And this is just a way to see it. If you, as you can see, there is a restore job that has been created, and it will soon start running. So this is this will complete, and then you'll start seeing the newly restored column family within the inventory tab. That's all that I would like to cover in this session. I would like to pass it on now to Justin to cover the next agenda item.
Awesome. Thanks, Vipul. That was great. It always blows me away just how robust yet simple Rubric makes it for customers. I don't have a technical background, but I'm fairly confident I could jump in there and do that as well. Okay, and lastly, before I hand it back to Scott to close this out, Vipul and I wanted to quickly run through some of the most commonly asked questions that we get when presenting on NoSQL protection. So let's start with the first question here. We are already taking OS level snapshots. And so what is the additional value with Rubric NoSQL protection? So great questions, one that we get, quite often. And so the answer here is that the OS level backups create copies of the full operating system in VM, and hence are not application consistent. And moreover, to reduce the storage costs, these backup systems rely on block level deduplication, which is not efficient for big data databases and file systems. And so Rubric NoSQL protection does not do block level or snapshot level backups. It understands the customer applications, database collections, data formats, and other semantics to provide value for both backup and restore. In contrast, a traditional backup, you're forced to restore all your data irrespective of what you've lost. And it allows customers to do collection level backups and queryable restores. This reduces the recovery time drastically. Additionally, with Rubric NoSQL protection, you can do topology-free restores. As an example, you could restore the backed up data to a different topology than the source topology. And this opens up new use cases for synchronizing production data for test and dev environments, as an example. Okay, so the next question here, can I use both a local share and an Amazon S3 bucket in the same NoSQL protection? And so the answer here is yes. In Rubric NoSQL protection, data stores are selected at a backup policy kind of a level, and you can choose the NFS for certain policies, as well as an Amazon S3 or any other supported storage type for the other policies. And the last question here for me before I pass it over to Vipul, what happens if the Rubric NoSQL protection node goes down? And so great question. And the answer is Rubric NoSQL protection is built as a highly available distributed system. As of the latest version, both Cassandra and MongoDB versions of NoSQL protection can be installed as a 3-node distributed architecture. But in addition, the backup data is stored on a separate storage location of your choice or the customer's choice. And so any downtime or outage on a node does not affect the backup data. And with that, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you found this information helpful. Let me pass it back to Scott to close us out.
All right, great. And we do have a poll question for you. We appreciate your feedback on additional resources you'd like to see from Rubric. The choices are right there: data sheet, technical white paper, customer case study, pricing details, personal demo. Like to try it for yourself, already a customer. And of course, you can select as many types of resources as you'd like to receive. Justin and Vipul, that was a great presentation and demo. Really appreciate those insights about the special backup requirements of NoSQL databases. I'd also like to call your attention to the handouts. We've got a link from Rubric for the Rubric Cloud Vault, and that's another great way to get more information about Rubric. Meanwhile, thanks for all of the questions for Rubric that are rolling in. We had a comment from Armand that the UI is very user-friendly, really impressive. Also had questions like from Bob about, is there a list of all the database types that can be auto-discovered? Ijaz was wondering what are the high availability options for database systems. Vijay was wondering how the backup solution supports security. Well, we can't get to those on the live call today. Hopefully the Rubric team can get back to you on some of those questions in the chat or after the event. And we do want to thank Justin and Vipul for showing us how Rubric addresses those issues, and thanks to everybody who's responded to the poll already. We do appreciate your feedback, and I'll just leave it up here for just another moment, and then we will move on to our next presentation. Okay. So thanks again to everybody who filled that out. And now it's time for the next presentation in the Ecocast. And our next session comes from Click. Elif, welcome. Thanks for being here today.
So what I would like to do is to go over the augmented intelligence capabilities. So the first thing that I would like to highlight is I think by now, with all the things going on with pandemic, we know that we live in an uncertain world. And I couldn't think, in a better time where there's more need to use the data and importantly, make data-driven decisions and to be able to act and take actions with the data. So with that in mind, we have been actually putting a vision for our cloud platform and really making the shift to change the BI paradigm to be not only insight generation with augmented capabilities or with analytics capabilities, but really change the paradigm to make sure that the goal of the BI is really happening, which is like helping our users to compile actions and take actions. So when you think about uncertainty, what are the things that the users need? They need real-time data to generate real-time insights and make sure that that data is business ready. So this is where we have started our journey creating the Active Intelligence platform. This is the platform where it's basically the only cloud platform in the market that really provides an end-to-end analytics data pipeline, which means that within our Active Intelligence platform, there is the data integration capabilities, and really the capabilities help the user to free the data and really provide data movement, either on-prem to cloud or between different data sources in the cloud. And that capability comes with a unique feature around the change data capture. And with the change data capture, it really enables for our users to get real-time insights, because as soon as there's a change in the source data, and can be, let's say, SAP, our users are able to consume that change right away on their dashboard, and with the augmented capabilities, getting alerts and taking actions. And the other thing that I would like to highlight within this platform that really provides an end-to-end solution, we also have the catalog capabilities. Why I would like to highlight the catalog capabilities? Because I believe it's very important to enable the self-service analytics consumption. And within the catalog, our goal is to really help our users to easily find, search, and shop for the governed, trusted data sets and also analytics component, and then really gain the trust. And this is what I'm referring as explainable BI, where as a user, as a consumer, when I look at a KPI with the lineage capability, for example, I should be able to see where that data is coming from. And then the third component, which is, I will be doing more deep dive on that in this session, is about really providing analytics capabilities with augmentation to our users, so generating insights. And final thing that I would like to highlight from the Active Intelligence platform is with the automation capabilities, now our users are able to take action and generate and automate business processes with the analytics, which is very important because, again, I'm coming back to the ultimate goal of BI and analytics is actually to trigger actions in business processes. So with that, I would like to do some more deep dive into our augmented analytics capabilities. So we have started our journey with augmented analytics like 3.5 years ago. And really, from day one, our goal not only incorporate more ML algorithms into our analytics engine so that our users can get to the insights, detect the anomalies, and what is the significant to act on. But we also pay a lot of attention in terms of how we build the experiences around that. And our goal with the augmented capabilities is not to replace human, but more importantly, to create this cohesive experience for our users, where as a user, as a business user, I can leverage my intuition and my business knowledge when the system alerts me about an anomaly for me to take an action. And this is really an important component for us to create that type of relationship. So within our augmented analytic capabilities, we have a full suite of AI features working together that I will be covering each of them and also do a quick demo. So in the Insight Advisor, this is really this is the engine that works with our analytics engine that provides not only algorithms to be able to help the user with predictions or also like things like clustering or outlier detection, but also it provides conversational analytics. The second thing that I would like to highlight is we are super excited that we have now also released Click AutoML. And I see a great need to enable business analysts and help them to be able to get AutoML capabilities so that they can start becoming citizen data scientists to be able to create models and consume. And the final part is advanced analytics integration. And we all know that many enterprises, they already have data scientists groups that they generate algorithms and machine learning algorithms. And with this integration, now they can really democratize and then make those things in a self-serve manner to business users. So when I talk about Inside Advisor capabilities, this is where a couple of things that I would like to highlight. The first one is around the conversational analytics capabilities. Like, it's very important to really enable the business user where they can just ask their question. And the Inside Advisor engine has both the natural language processing and natural language generation capabilities. And also, we are also using some of the algorithms for the smart data preparation to help our users. One thing that I would like to highlight also in terms of how Inside Advisor works with our engine, our engine has a unique capability of being an associative engine that I will be kind of covering briefly, but that's really unique, provides unique capability to provide a peripheral vision for our users. The second thing here that I would like to highlight is the Click AutoML capability. And again, as I mentioned, the goal is to really help the business analysts with the AutoML capabilities so that when they want to predict something based on the characteristics of the data, the system can actually do the necessary data prep to make the data model ready, and then pick the right predictive model to really generate a prediction number. And here, as we are developing this capability, again, explainable AI is very important. So here, as I will be showing, it is the system is able to show the user the key drivers, like why that prediction has been made and what are the main attributes in the data that is driving that prediction. And the final thing that I would like to say is decision planning. This is a big topic for myself, is how we really enable the human to make decisions. And I'm a big believer that what if scenarios is very important. And this is also a unique capability that we are providing. Once the system generates a prediction with the information of having the key drivers, we are enabling the user to really play the parameters to optimize that prediction. And the final thing, as I mentioned, about the advanced analytics integration. Again, there are many customers that we have, and like they are using other third-party solutions, either open source or things like DataRobot or Amazon SageMaker. And really, the idea with this integration is to have a tight integration with our analytics engine so that the user can easily visualize the result of the model and then use that in their decision making as they get insights. And the final thing that I would like to highlight, again, Click has this unique associative engine, and the reason I want to highlight there's a lot of talk, about the graph databases. The way that our engine works is really it automatically makes all of the associations in the data, and the data is always in memory to be able to analyze for the user, which is very different than a SQL approach, a query-based approach to visualize and generate insights. And the common example that I usually give, like, if I would be losing my car keys, I wouldn't be doing drill down with a predefined path to remember where I left my car keys. I wouldn't think that I was in US, I was in Wisconsin, I was at home. I will make association. This is how human brains work. And just like that, we are also enabling our users to work with the data where they can actually explore the data from any perspective and in a very interactive way. So with that, I just want to do a time check as well. I would like to actually switch and then do some demos from the product. So I hope you can all see my screen. So what you're seeing is Click Cloud. So the first part of the demo, what I would like to show is how our cognitive engine actually helps our users to analyze data right away. So I'm loading an Excel file. So now as I'm loading it to the system, the cognitive engine is running some algorithms on the data to understand the characteristics of the data, like what's the possible domain of this data, what are the possible dimensions and measures, so that as a user right away I can start analyzing my data. Now it's creating the data model on the fly for me, and now I'm going to create my first sheet. And here, I want to be augmented, right? And then have the system to really help me explore the data. So now when I click on it, I'm in an Inside Advisor, and I see all the fields that I've loaded. So here I can ask my question right away, or maybe I just want to pick a field to start exploring it further. So I pick the country and you will see on the fly how the system is not like only showing me things around the like the distinct values of countries, but it automatically starts picking up the possible relevant things that may be interesting for me to analyze this country. And again, this is a great example where literally in 2 clicks, I'm in a place where I can start asking my questions or start analyzing the data. So let's say that I would like to actually look at like the discount with this information, and I would like to analyze it by city. So if I pick more fields, again, the first thing that the system generates is the most relevant answer or the insights for my question. But in the meantime, it also generates additional insights where I can easily analyze this information. So if I go back, actually, let's say that I'm looking at the like cost of sales by city. Here you can see the system is also generating me insights like an 80/20 analysis, where I can start actually putting things on my sheet so that I can right away start generating a dashboard for myself. So I actually also briefly show you the conversational analytics capabilities. So that, let's say that I would like to compare cost of goods sales and sales by customer. So when I type this question with the natural language processing capability, again, I can be just asking it by voice as well. The system has generated insights for me. And here a great example, again, it didn't only create a scatter plot where I can actually see the relationship between cost of sales and sales, but it also generated a clustering algorithm by leveraging clusters where I can actually start playing with the number of clusters and start gaining insights. The other thing that I would like to highlight in here, like we have unique capabilities in terms of enabling the user to right away do different analysis period comparisons, and then to be able to also right away interact with the visualizations and the insights. As you can see, as I make selections through the Associative Engine, everything gets reflected without me doing any filtering on each visualization. So the other thing that I would like to highlight in here, let's say that I just actually would like to load some more data. So I'm just going to add some more data. So again, the system, as it is loading the data, now it is understanding that I have more than one table in the application. So it is actually going to take me to the place where I can do some data prep. And this is the other cognitive capabilities that we have. We are really helping the user to be in the right part of the product for the job to be done or for the task to be achieved. So as it is loading the data, now it's taking me to this experience where not only that I can start analyzing the data, but as I click on things, it is providing me what's the best way to relate to data each other. And here you can see it is suggesting me recommended actions where I can actually take the suggestions from the cognitive engine to best associate the data or relate the data on the fly, do my data preparation, and then load my data. So with that, this was a quick recap in terms of some of the capabilities that Insight Advisor provides, really helping our users to increase their data literacy. And without knowing the technology details or how to use a BI platform, they can just easily load data, they do their data prep with augmented capabilities, and right away start asking questions to create their dashboards. Now, the second thing that I would like to do is shift the gears, and then I want to show you the AutoML capabilities that we have in the product. So with that, I need to stop sharing and then share again. Just briefly be with me, please. Stop share and then share again. Okay, so what you are seeing on the screen is the AutoML capabilities that I will show. So let's say that I'm a business user, business analyst, and I would like to actually do some churn analysis. So I'm in the Click AutoML part of the product, and I'm going to do a new project. Let's say create an analysis, and let's say this is the churn analysis. And with this user interface, I'm going to pick the data set where I have some customer information with their attributes. And here now I'm taking the place where I can actually tell the system what I want to predict. One thing that I would like to highlight in here is the system runs some data profiling on the fields so that it actually starts suggesting me also things about the fields that may actually affect my model. With that, let's say that here I'm also going to tell the system that I would like to predict the churn. So when I click on churn, I can see that my prediction target is churn. And these are the algorithms that the system will automatically run and suggest me the best one to use. And here, this is where we really would like to highlight is this pre-processing part, like where data scientists spend a lot of time to get the data ready for modeling. And this is the beauty of the AutoML, where the system actually knows how to apply and do the necessary data preparation on the data to make the data ready. So when I hit analyze, the system is actually going to start analyzing this and then give me the best model. So as that is running, I just want to show you the one that I just ran actually. So this is the churn analysis. It created the predictions. The model is ready now. Here I can see the feature importance, like what are the things that is affecting the prediction. I can see the correlation of different features to each other. So now as I have a model, I can actually deploy this model to production. And then once I deploy that model, again, I have to change the screens. Sorry about that. So now what I would like to show you is how the user is actually going to business user will be able to consume that prediction. So now what you are seeing is the dashboard where the prediction actually automatically are being set from Click AutoML into here. So now as a business analyst, not only that I generated a model, I gained the confidence and it's been now deployed. Now my business users can actually start consuming that. So here is the prediction, short predictions that have been generated by customer. So let's say that I would like to understand more about this customer just because he has a high rate of churning. So here I can see the things that are affecting this churn in terms of like which values in the data is affecting the most. And more importantly, what I would like to highlight in here is we are providing what if capabilities for our users. So the system knows the key drivers that are affecting that prediction for this specific customer, so that here I can actually start playing with it. Let's say if I expand their current period usage and then maybe increase their customer rating, how likely the churn is still going to happen. So we believe that having AutoML capabilities is not only important to help the business analysts to go up to the level and start generating models, but also like really having this what if capability helps our users to put their input so that they can create the ultimate result. And the final thing that I would like to highlight is now you have seen how the system is actually generating insights. But generating insights is great, but one of the main things is to be able to take an action with that, right? So now I would like to briefly show you the automation capabilities that we have in the platform. So here, actually, I'm just going to share the screen, save opportunities. So on this dashboard, what I would like to show you is how, as the user consumes the analytics and gain insights, how easy for them to actually take an action. So again, I'm only looking at a beautiful dashboard where I may recognize something that is not right about some of the opportunities. So as I interact with my data and make selection, right from here, now I can actually take an action. So for example, I can assign the selected opportunities to a manager for take an action, or I can generate an alert sales rep for that. And how are we doing that? We are leveraging the Click application automation capabilities to enable our users to trigger business processes. And this is the application automation part of the product that I'm sharing right now. And as you can see, this is a very easy drag and drop place where our users can actually create business processes and workflows and then tie those to the dashboard to right away, based on the insights that they gain, they can actually trigger actions, and those automations is going to create the results in the business processes. So with that, this was a quick recap. I hope I'm still within the allowed time. And I would like to see if there were any questions.
Yeah, great. And there are some questions, but thanks for those powerful demos. Those were great. And while we see what questions are coming in, I do want to put up the poll. So we appreciate your answers on what additional information you'd like from Click, but let's get into your questions. Armand just says, I really loved how data is predicted and mapped in the form of bar graphs for better understanding. Looking forward to knowing more. And Venkat also really appreciated the the demo. Kumar is wondering, what are the data formats that can be supported?
It's the structured data, and in terms of like the data sources, it can be any data sources. Qlik has a lot of connectors to connect different data sources. It is about the structured data analysis, and the unique thing again about our platform is to be able to associate that data very fast. And I've shown you during the demo. In this case, I was just using some Excel data, but really like by running profiling on the data, the system automatically suggests the best way to associate the data. And then once the data is in memory, again, as I've shown you, like everything is connected for the user to analyze. So.
Okay, super. Here's another one. What are some of the business use cases for active intelligence? The use cases like, first of all, I want to say that active intelligence is a journey that our customers are taking. And the use cases is like when there are cases where more the need for near real-time data, it's a great fit. But then even to analyze the historical data and then to be able to take an action based on that. That is what the platform provides. So, like within the platform, by using, if you have the need to do data integration, and then provide analytics capabilities, visualizations, and self-service analytics, and then more importantly, if there are cases where you are looking to leverage analytics and tie that to automation, business process automation. That is the platform, Active Intelligence platform that is providing it. In terms of use cases, again, like we have many customers in the healthcare using the platform, Active Intelligence platform. Again, in the finance industry. I think it depends on the sector, but just overall, with the platform, just being able to combine multiple data sources, do transformation, gaining insights, and then with the recent automation capabilities to trigger action. Okay, super. A couple more comments here about people appreciating the demo. There's also one about where does the Qlik platform run? Is it a SaaS, or do you put it on a server on premises, or by an instance in AWS?
Yeah. So
how does that work?
it is. Thank you. It's on the SaaS, but then we have a hybrid approach to cloud. So we have customers who would like to still have some of their implementation on-prem, but then combine that with our cloud platform. So we have a hybrid approach supporting both of them. We have customers that has gone 100% Qlik Cloud. And the other thing that I would like to highlight with our cloud infrastructure is you can use it with different cloud providers. So our principle is not to corner the customer with just using Azure or like Google. It is basically we are supporting different cloud providers if they would like to do that. And then I highly suggest the listeners to also do a search on Qlik Fort. So it is such a unique capability and innovation that we have released last year, and that enables our users to have their data on the prem, but still use Qlik Cloud for self-service and analytics needs. And that's such a unique capability. And the reason we come up with that innovation, because as you are all aware, there is a lot of regulations around the movement of the data, where the data can reside. And we have many customers who cannot move some part of the data to cloud, and they just love that Qlik Fort capability, where they can leave the data on-prem, but then still use all of the advantage of using a SaaS-based analytics platform where they don't have to have physical servers or maintain it, and they can just go viral with the analytics consumption.
Okay. And it looks like we're running out of time, and we do have a bunch of questions in the queue. So, if you have a few minutes to stick around and answer any of those, type in answers to those, we'd appreciate it. But if somebody does want to get started with Qlik or find out more, what do you recommend?
They can check out our website, qlik.com. We also have our customer conference coming up in May. It is Qlik World, super exciting things that we will be showing there as well, and also interact with our customers. Please leverage our platform website, qlik.com, and then do a search on Qlik Active Intelligence platform.
Okay. Well, Elif, great presentation. Thank you so much for coming on, and thanks for bringing us up to speed on Qlik.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was great to have the opportunity. Thank you.
And with that, I'm going to bring back Mr. David M. Davis to announce our next prize. David?
Thanks so much, Scott. It's now time for our next prize announcement. This is for another Amazon $500 gift card, and it's going out to Jin Shao from Missouri. Congratulations, Jin Shao from Missouri. And we'll have one more Amazon $500 gift card to give out after our next presentation. All right, speaking of which, I'm excited now to introduce you to our next presenter on today's Ecocast. Welcome, Pranav Prakay, Vice President for Global Field Engineering at DataStax. Pranav, take it away.
Great. Hi, everybody. My name is Pranav Prakay, and I lead our field engineering team here at DataStax. Architects and technical subject matter experts in the field engineering team work with our customers on their digital and data transformation initiatives to help them make and take the biggest impact of data to the next level. Prior to DataStax, I held leadership roles at Google, Oracle, and a couple of startups working with enterprises in the middleware and the integration space. I'm very excited to be here to talk to you about what we see in the marketplace as DataStax and how you can take data to the next level. So the overall theme of what I'm going to share with you today is about delivering the right data to the right place at the right time to support the right experiences for your consumers and customers with the right governance so that enterprises like yourself can lead with data and take data to the next level. So based upon our state of the data research that we did and the experiences that we have had with many, many enterprises over the past 10 years, what we have found is winning companies use all of their data. Across all verticals and industries, leaders win with all of their data. In a world where everything is connected and driven by data, data dexterity means market leadership. Enterprises activate real-time data to drive experiences that customers love. And this is the real-time data that is important to run their businesses. They augment the historical analytics data and AI and ML models with real-time data. By doing so, they combine the data that runs their business with the data that informs the business to create new capabilities, recommendation-based experiences, autonomous processes that take decisions. And all of this creates a virtuous data cycle where more data leads to better algorithms, which lead to more innovation, which leads to better services for customers, which ultimately leads to more usage, which leads to more data. So for example, there's a fintech company in the crypto space that provides secure, instant, and nearly free global financial transactions with no chargebacks. And they have to manage a variety of data, including user experience data, but also their transaction ledger metadata. Being able to deal with the volume, velocity, and variety of data in real time with agility is crucial for their success. They're using the real-time data they collect to power not only their user experiences, but they combine it with the analytical data to define and deliver innovative solutions. And that's just one example. One such example that's visible to all of us as consumers is that of Netflix. And by doing so, they're not only leading their market, but they're also increasing the competitive advantage. They're able to unlock new products and access new markets by taking this approach. Unfortunately, though, not all enterprises are able to take advantage of this virtuous data cycle. The fundamental problem is that data, which is the main asset that should propel innovation and growth, is the one that's holding them back because of a few reasons. As shown here, right, the most valuable data is locked in a variety of different technologies, creating challenges that grow exponentially with the number of technologies that are being used by these enterprises. Ultimately, what this results in is developers being able to freely and easily access the data is not there, and they're challenged, which stifles innovation. They're unable to build scalable and resilient applications, and that becomes challenging, which impacts customer experience and quality of services, which has a direct negative impact on their revenue. These bespoke technologies having to be managed, it increases the operational cost and increases the technical debt associated with that as well. And all of this with the inability to deliver on the key transformational initiatives, such as cloud adoption, that are holding enterprises back, preventing them from leapfrogging and taking leadership positions in the industry. So enterprises that want to win and lead with data, actually I take that back. Enterprises that have to lead and win with data, they need to activate this data, the data that runs their business and the data that matters to them. So on this slide, we're going to talk about the priorities. Right? With these challenges in mind that I talked about on the previous slide, what enterprises must do to increase their data advantage are the following. Number one, enterprises have to make sure that they're not locking up real-time data. They have to make it available to developers, and not only make it available, but do it in such a manner that it's easy for them to consume and at the velocity that they want. This increases their productivity, but more importantly, also the creativity. And additionally, enterprises must take this real-time data and connect it to their ecosystems, both internally and externally, because this drives adjacent initiatives such as AI and ML, which ultimately propels the innovation that enterprises want to drive. Number two, except for niche areas where enterprises are really focused on hyper-local use cases, most enterprises are global enterprises. The need to scale data globally is just becoming as much important as enabling and empowering developers. The speed and scale of data is such that these enterprises have to scale data seamlessly with applications for global success. And they have to do this seamlessly while maintaining data security and adhering to the data compliance regulations that they have. And the third part with regards to the priorities is enterprises must move from this traditional notion of an operating model, which has been so far self-managed, that has required vertical scaling of infrastructure, an infrastructure that really is a single point of failure, to a completely different operating model. And that's the digital data operating model. And in this model, it's highly reliable, it's horizontally scalable, and it uses distributed systems that are delivered in the cloud. And all of this to ensure that they not only get agility and scalability, but it aligns with the TCO with the value created by real-time data. Continuing on with some of the lessons learned from our experiences and the surveys that we do, when we speak to technology leaders like yourself, we have heard that global scale and 100% availability are just some of the outcomes of leading with data and taking data to the next level. Technology leaders must do three things: modernize data platforms to deliver more value with better unit economics. Also need to mitigate the risks that are associated with high levels of SLAs to exceed customer expectations. And by doing so, they also have, as I mentioned previously, have to really free up the developers and elevate their productivity with modern APIs. But all of this is very difficult for these technical leaders, because they've mentioned this to us. They tell us that they have to deal with long wait times and high cost of infrastructure that they had to scale vertically and dependencies on operational teams. The coordination and the complexity associated with bespoke databases and integrations and open source projects, and making that all work together. And then in this day and age right now, it's been increasingly difficult to find talent. I know that we have a difficult time in the team that we're growing, but finding and keeping developer talent in today's labor constrained market is also something that we have to keep in mind in order for the technical leaders to ensure that they're able to achieve those priorities. So we talked about real-time data, but up until now, we have talked about real-time data at rest. Another area that has become that much more important for enterprises is having to deal with real-time data in motion. So why is that? It's because several use cases that enterprises across all industries and verticals have to deal with has to do with data in motion. An example of this is personalization. Every customer is different. We all know that. And we have to tailor the experiences to each of these individuals based upon the preferences and affinities that they have. Not only that, we also need to personalize these experiences across all of the different channels that they interact with us. And of course, data about the customer is at the heart of this. But increasingly, what we're finding is the data in real time has to be complete, and it also needs to make sure that we know about the customer, but also the point of the interaction is where we need to provide this data. Each customer wants these better experiences, and in order to deliver those delightful experiences, we need to make sure that we're providing data in real time, in motion, where it's most needed. The other thing is customer loyalty and customer retention. It's expensive, as you all know, to attain new customers, and we want to do everything that we can to avoid losing customers to competitors. How do we achieve better retention with these customers? We know that in order to work with our customers in a better way and know what they buy, we have to put the right products in front of them that will meet their needs and are relevant to their buying interests. Now, this is true not only for retailers, but across enterprises in different verticals and different industries. And of course, we've seen that in the last decade or so, this is not only about reaching customers, but also reaching customers at the right time with the right product, with the right offers. And how do we do that? Event processing is the answer. We need some indication of each customer's activities, and we need to use that to figure out all of these things with data in motion in real time. But it's not just about customer experiences that's driving it. We also see retailers using event processing to drive efficiencies and optimizations in ways that they're conducting all aspects of their business. This is a tremendous advancement that they've made in supply chain efficiencies using this, taking real-time or near real-time inventory and point-of-sale information and using that data to send real-time signals upstream to suppliers in the supply chain. This is also true for order fulfillment, as we continue to see tremendous innovation happening in that space as well. They said that necessity is the mother of invention and innovation. And during the pandemic, that has certainly proved to be the case. Just about every executive that we speak to in the last year, have spoken to in the last year, have expressed the same sentiment that their organization has compressed lots of digital transformation initiatives in a matter of months in the past year. But even outside the pandemic, though, we see even more new ideas coming over the horizon. Last mile delivery done through autonomous vehicles, drones or friendly delivery, robots in being driven to new batch of startups in partnership with large established organizations. Customers need to know where their orders are, when they're going to be ready. We need to make sure that backend systems know when the orders have been picked up or have been delivered. And with real-time tracking of data, all of this information at scale and speed is super, super critical. And hence, data streaming in real time is another aspect that enterprises have to deal with. So to address the agility and the scalability and cost efficiency aspects of real-time data at rest and real-time data in motion, enterprises must look at tools and technologies that help them unlock and scale data at rest and in motion that's connected to the rest of the data landscape that they have in their ecosystem. Accelerate the application development with the use of data APIs and automation. And then more importantly, simplify their ability to operate and manage data in cloud-native and multi-cloud environments. So switching gears now a little bit, that we have framed the challenges and opportunities to the solutions that DataStax offers to enterprises to lead with data and to take data to the next level. DataStax provides an open data stack that is Kubernetes-based, developer-friendly, and cloud-delivered to drive the agility, scalability, and cost efficiencies that enterprises like yours need. And here are the architectural qualities and benefits that make that happen. Let's take it from the top down. At the top, we have Stargate APIs. Developers get modern APIs with the platform like REST, GraphQL, schema-less document APIs, or even drivers for native Cassandra query language access. And Stargate is open sourced. It's extensible, and it allows us to add future APIs so that developers can get the benefits of being productive. And underneath Stargate, we have data services. Two things that we do here. There's data at rest, as I mentioned before, and we use Cassandra-based database offerings, and we provide wide column, graph, document, and even key-value data stores to provide a variety of different ways to interact with data at rest, at scale, at global scale. The next one is dynamic data in motion. With our Pulsar-based streaming offerings, we support PubSub and queuing-based use cases with low latencies and massive scale, indefinite retention of event logs for replaying that back to AI and ML models, change data capture capabilities, and much, much more. But both these capabilities for data at rest and data in motion are done in a multi-cloud and a cloud-native manner. You can deploy on any major cloud. You can deploy to multiple regions per cloud or across public clouds. And of course, you can deploy on-premises and to private clouds as well. And what this does is it provides three benefits and outcomes. Number one, more developers will be productive. They will be productive fast because they're using familiar APIs, languages, and frameworks. Operators will be able to deploy and manage critical applications more easily, efficiently, and because of cloud-native control planes, it will simplify the provisioning, management, and operations of the architecture. And last but not least, because the architecture is cloud-native and serverless, it provides separation of compute from storage. Enterprises only pay for the read and write operations and storage without having to provision for peak usage. This ultimately drives huge savings that result in business and technical leaders getting up to 5 times better TCO and reduced complexity. Ultimately, as mentioned earlier, the open data stack helps enterprises lead with data by increasing agility, scalability, and cost efficiencies. While we can't go into the details today, here are just some of the benefits of Astrodb, a flexible, managed database as a service offering. It improves agility by making it easy for developers, provides an elastic cloud-native architecture where enterprises don't need to plan and deploy for infrastructure for peak. It simplifies operations significantly and delivers global scale with data stacks managing operations, replication across multiple regions and availability zones, and scalability to petabytes of data without impacting performance. Lastly, in doing so, in such a manner that helps enterprises avoid cloud vendor lock-in and lowers TCO with consumption-based billing for writes, reads, and storage that enterprises end up using. Similarly, here are the benefits of Astra streaming. They're almost identical, right? The exact same benefits as AstraDB, but this is for streaming data in motion. It follows the same guidelines and the same principles. It provides agility for developers, scalability and reduced operational overhead for operators, and lower TCO and cost efficiencies for business and technical leaders without cloud vendor lock-in. And here's just an example of a customer that took advantage of those benefits. An interesting customer, Ankeri, is a company that is based out of Iceland. They provide a cloud-based software platform to track ships and vessels out at sea and provide ship owners and charterers the ability to manage and share data for their ships and collaborate for improved performance. So they were challenged. Ankeri was challenged with providing trusted real-time tracking information about the 50,000 plus ships to the ship owners and operators. They wanted to capture a variety of different information, normalize that, and provide real-time all of this information in a secure manner to all of their stakeholders. They decided to use AstraDB for all of the benefits mentioned earlier, and that resulted in improving their customer experience, reducing operational overhead, accelerating their innovation because it aligned with the technical architecture and guiding principles that they had. This is just one example, and we have many others. Here, for example, Verizon continues to improve their customer acquisition and customer experience of over 150 million users leveraging DataStax Enterprise for over 100% uptime across 5 data centers. Similarly, FedEx continues to achieve unprecedented operational scale for their front and back end services, having migrated from legacy technology to DataStax, leveraging global replication and 100% uptime. And last but not least, ACI has saved significantly by leveraging real-time data with DataStax technologies to drive their AI and ML-based fraud detection applications without incurring any downtime and making sure that they're able to easily scale for peak season. So what are the key takeaways? The key takeaways are enterprises today need to deliver the right data to the right place at the right time to support the right experiences with the right governance to lead with data and take their data that matters to the next level. To do that, enterprises need solutions that provide agility, scalability, and cost efficiency. DataStax provides an open stack for real-time data applications that rely on data at rest and data in motion that is Kubernetes-based, developer-ready, and cloud-delivered to do exactly that, which is to increase agility for enterprises, provide them with the scalability that they need globally, and reduce their costs and providing better cost efficiency. Thank you for your time, and now handing it off back to David for some Q&A.
Great presentation, Pranav. We do have some questions for you from the audience. Let's see. First question that came in here, they're asking, what are you all doing there at DataStax to help enterprises reduce the cost of ownership or kind of bend the curve on IT costs?
A great question, David, and thank you for that question from the audience. So as I mentioned, architecturally, when we talk about the platform, there are 3 things. First of all, we have heard that when it comes to operating at scale, operating at global scale, we need to provide capabilities to the operators to reduce the operational overhead and operational burden. So we are adding additional capabilities in the platform that allows them to use cloud-native technology so that when they're deploying, when they are managing, when they're doing DevOps, they can do all of that through automation. So we provide the platform and platform with APIs so that even the operators of the platform can start to leverage this to drive significant amounts of automation to reduce the operational overhead and the operational burden, which reduce to lower TCO and better efficiency. The second thing that we are doing with the platform itself is we're making it cloud native. As I mentioned before, it's based upon Kubernetes. We are using APIs even for developers. And by doing so, it basically allows enterprises to take advantage of the unit economics that they get by deploying things to the cloud. And by deploying things to the cloud using cloud-native technologies, they can leverage, again, economies of scale because they're using the same type of technologies regardless of the type of platforms that they're running on. And the third thing that we are doing is by offering our technology as database as a service and streaming as a service, we're actually taking away all of the operational overhead that enterprises had previously by taking operations into our own hands. And by doing so and creating an architecture that is serverless, where we have separated out compute from storage, we are able to provide efficiencies by developers as well as enterprises not having to provision the infrastructure for peak, but only pay for the reads, the writes, and the storage that they're using, and so not having to worry about the cost that gets associated with deploying large amounts of infrastructure, but basically really relying on the consumption-based approach that we allow enterprises to do based upon the architecture that we have created. So those are the 3 things, David, that allows them to lower the TCO and bend the TCO curve.
Excellent. It sounds like this could help a lot of companies out there kind of reduce their cost of ownership. And that's a big pain point, I know, for many companies. Next question here, they're wanting to know, what's your relationship with AWS and the other cloud providers?
Absolutely. We are big partners with all of these cloud vendors that are out there. And as I mentioned before, we create our technology so that it's cloud agnostic. We work with AWS, we work with Google Cloud Platform, we work with Microsoft Azure to ensure that the technologies that we are creating, that our enterprises can deploy that to any of these major cloud vendors. And the reason for this is we are seeing an increased trend in enterprises using multiple cloud vendors. And by doing so, by providing the relationship, by creating the partnership and allowing our technologies to be purchased through these marketplaces, we are providing the flexibility and the freedom of choice to all of our enterprises without having to worry about getting vendor lock-in for a given cloud vendor. And by doing so, all of our enterprises are free to choose based upon the use cases, based upon the consumer experiences that they want to drive, and the application needs that they have to pick and choose the appropriate cloud vendor that they have, be it AWS, be it GCP, or be it Azure.
Very nice. Yeah, I like that flexibility. And then, so if folks want to get started with DataStax, is there a free trial of your cloud database, the Astrodb?
Absolutely. And in fact, it's better than just a free trial. Enterprises and developers can go to astra.datastax.com, sign up for free without having to use a credit card. And more than it being a free trial, enterprises and developers end up getting monthly recurring credits towards their use. So $25 worth of credits that they end up getting. And they can use that to increase the developer mindshare, as well as the ability for developers to learn new technologies, or even deploy use cases that can fit within the $25 credits that they get on a monthly basis. And then obviously beyond that, if they want to use, they can contact DataStax, and we can work with them to deploy larger credits for bigger use cases as well. So yeah, it's more than a free trial. Go to astra.datastax.com and take advantage of the recurring monthly credits that they end up getting.
Excellent. Yeah, sounds like a great opportunity. Astra.datastax.com. Pranav, it's been great having you on the event today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much to everybody. Thank you, David, and all the participants who attended. Appreciate it.
All right, I've just brought up our poll question for everyone out there that says, what additional information would you like about the DataStax solution? And we want to get your feedback here on this poll. There's a lot of great questions that are still left we didn't have time for. We do appreciate those. If you have a question and we didn't get time to answer it, make sure you select on here that you'd like a personal demo. That way you can get all your questions answered in your own personal demo, or maybe you'd like to try it out for yourself. A really innovative solution there from DataStax. So I'll leave this poll question up for everyone to respond to while I announce our final Amazon $500 gift card winner. Let's see, this is going out to Sarah Lynn Oyer from Iowa. Congratulations, Sarah Lynn Oyer from Iowa. And I will post all the prize winners' names in the questions pane. All right, those are posted. And thank you to everyone there who responded to the poll. We do appreciate your feedback for DataStax. They want to hear from you. Before we wrap up, I do want to, of course, remind everyone out there, don't forget about the 10 on Tech podcast. It's over there in the iTunes store. And if you are a potential sponsor of an upcoming Megacast or Ecocast event and you'd like to chat with us about presenting, reach out to us at connect@actualtechmedia.com. I hope that you'll join us next week. We've got a massive event coming up. This is going to be our ransomware best practices for prevention, mitigation, and recovery event. It's happening on Tuesday, the 8th, February 8th at 12 o'clock Eastern. There are too many companies, too many experts to list in our short amount of time here, but it's going to be a massive event. I hope that you'll join us on that. Of course, on our Megacast, we always have just a mega lineup of prizes, and there's going to be so much to learn about ransomware prevention, mitigation, and recovery. It's something that every one of us out here in the world of technology needs to learn more about and do whatever we can do to protect ourselves. So I'll see you next Tuesday on that event. And don't forget, here at the end of the event, you will be automatically redirected to our Refer a Friend or Coworker page. So, watch out for that redirection there in your web browser, and you will be entered to win an Amazon $300 gift card, both you and your IT friend or coworker. And with that, I want to say a big thank you to everyone out there in the Actual Tech Media audience who joined us on the Ecocast today. I hope that you learned a lot, and we'll see you next time. Take care and have a great day.